All right. So one of the questions I've been getting from a bunch of people is about taking Retatrutide and growing muscle tissue, or taking Reta while you're trying to bulk, because that's the thing. The upside to doing it, you're gonna have to mess with your doses a little bit, but the upside to doing it is it's going to keep the total systemic inflammation down. It's going to keep the insulin glucagon functionality of your liver high, and it's going to help your liver process a lot better. So there is an upside to doing it. I get this question all the time. So what you're going to have to start focusing on is, at what point are you losing your appetite? Because you're still going to have to maintain high protein intake. Some of you guys are going to have to manage a carbohydrate intake as well. Not everybody. A lot of people can do it without, but you're going to have to manage your macros a little bit differently when you're doing it. But you definitely can do it. I've been able to maintain or go up in weight, grow up in muscle tissue while I was on it. We've got lots of patients who have been able to do it. So it is possible to do. It is beneficial, because keeping that the total the inflammation that you don't want, right, from the visceral fat and stuff like that, the IL-6 and the TNF alpha, keeping that stuff down is going to be beneficial. Creating inflammation within the muscle tissue itself to create growth is still going to be beneficial. You're still going to get that burn. You're still going to get to be able to go to failure, all those things. So yeah, you can still build muscle tissue while you're on Reta, keeping you lean and keeping inflammation down. We've got, like I talk about all the time, we've got women who have endometriosis and PCOS and bad PMS and bad cycles and things like that. The Reta helps keep that inflammation down so they can work out harder. Again, when you're trying to build muscle tissue, the key is to go to failure. You have to show your body, hey, body, love you, but you're not good enough the way you are. We need you to get stronger. We need to build more muscle, because I asked you to do something 12 times, you can only do it 7. So you need to get better. You need to get bigger, and you need to get stronger. So decreasing that total inflammation, allowing your body to push a little bit harder, work a little bit harder, is really where the key is. So yeah, you can totally use Reta while you're trying to gain muscle mass. In a lot of ways it would be beneficial. Again, not for everybody, but there's a decent amount of people that it would be still beneficial for. Okay, the steroid thing. This is my favorite thing in the world. Everyone, when they look at people, they're like, they're natural, they're not on steroids. That's not true at all. Every single human being who's alive and healthy is on steroids. Estrogen is a steroid. Progesterone is a steroid. Yes, testosterone is a steroid. There's lots and lots of steroids your body naturally produces. Here's the thing. If your body doesn't naturally produce enough, just like if it doesn't produce enough B vitamins, just like if it doesn't produce enough D3, just like if it doesn't produce enough anything, we need to come in and adjunct to and add to and bring those levels up. Now, there's lots of reasons why your body wouldn't produce enough testosterone. Stress is the number one, psychological stress. The second one is all the trash in our food, water, and air. You've got atrazine, which is a high estrogen functionality, pushing down testosterone production and increasing estrogen. You got all the estrogen receptor sites, the phyto and the xenoestrogens, the plastics and things like that. You've got all sorts of things. You have the lack of movement. There's tons of things that are suppressing natural, normal production of testosterone below levels that are functional. And so adding it back in is important. I know that George W. Bush did a really good job of making everybody terrified of it in the 80s and 90s, but that was all trash. It's just a level like anything else in your body. If it's not where it's supposed to be, we have a problem. If it's too high, we have a problem. So again, too high, too low is bad. Where it needs to be, really important. So getting your testosterone in with your man or woman is critical to everything else we're doing, because testosterone is the key metabolic androgen function. Nothing else really works. If you guys are trying to do, well, I'm not going to take steroids because I've decided they're bad, but I'll take the peptides for HGH. You're not going to get the benefit you're actually wanting, because the whole system, the whole cycle is based off of testosterone as your main androgen. So you're going to have to get your testosterone where it's supposed to be, then layer everything else on top of it. So that's one of those things that you've got to get that in. Testosterone converts into estrogen. And so, especially at the site, and this is one of the weird things people don't understand, is, well, someone will get on testosterone and their hot flashes, night sweats, and vaginal dryness will go away, these women. However, their estrogen levels won't go up much. And they're like, I don't understand. All my estrogen problems got better, but my estrogen in my labs didn't go up. Right, because it's not floating around in your blood. It converts to estrogen at the site. So at the ovaries, at the uterus, like at the site, it goes into testosterone, gets converted to estrogen, and then activates the estrogen receptor sites right there. So it's not floating in the blood. So when we pull blood, we don't see a giant rise in estrogen. Why is it that men see a giant rise in estrogen when they use testosterone and women don't? Because we don't actually we don't utilize the estrogen as much. And so it ends up just floating around in the blood more. So that's why it happens. Women aromatize testosterone just like men do, but women utilize the estrogen at a higher rate. And so it's not ending, you don't end up in the body. Same idea if you're taking D3 and every time you check your blood, you're at 90, you're doing great. And then you get sick, still take it, test your blood, and you're at 40. You're like, well, I'm still taking it. Am I not absorbing it? No, you're using it up. That's why it's lower in the blood. So that's kind of one of those things that we look at for the estrogen testosterone thing. But yes, your steroids need to be in your body at the appropriate levels at all time. They are not, terrible, horrible things. They are natural. They are critical for function, and you need to make sure you're getting them in at the right dosages and the right amounts. Again, you don't want more than enough. So, and this is one of those things we get into, and this is why you really need to start looking at it from a how do you feel standpoint, and you just slowly move up. Because let's say your body needs 7 units, and you're at 3. If you give yourself 9, you're going to feel amazing because you went from 3 to 9 and you're just, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing in the world. My energy's up, my sex drive up, my mental clarity's up, my sleep is better. I don't hurt anymore. Everything about me is better. Yeah, but you should probably be at 7, but you're not going to know that because you didn't slowly move up. And so the problem we get into is that, let's use hair loss as the easiest one. As the testosterone goes up, all your symptoms get better. You start feeling amazing. But your risk of hair loss as one of the side effects also starts coming up. So if you only need to be here, and so your hair loss risk is here, but you push yourself up to there, this is going to come up as well. So titrating up slowly is important, but find your place because you want that sweet spot. Don't use the paper, don't use the lab results as your marker. Use how you feel. How's your energy? How's your sore? How sore are you after physical activity? How's your sex drive? Like all of these things. Guys, how's your erection? Women, how's your orgasm function? These are much better indicators of do you have enough than, what's on the paper. So that's another one. And then HGH from peptides and stuff like that. So the synthetic HGH is wildly different than the peptide HGH. Synthetic HGH shuts down your own natural production of growth hormone. It kind of overrides the system, and you can get massive amounts of it, which in short periods of time, not that big of a deal. Long periods of time, it makes everything grow. Your jaw, your heart, your intestines, all sorts of things. So be very, very careful if you're going to use the synthetic, the exogenous full growth hormone, the medical pharmaceutical version. It's safe at the right levels. It's safe for the right amount of times. You just have to kind of work with that and understand how your body works. The peptides help your body produce your own natural growth hormone at a much higher levels. Now, some of the peptides, depending on where you're taking, like the CJC 1295, and I've gone through the order of how strong they are. It's CJC 1295 with DAC, then it's tesamorelin, and then it's epimorelin, tesamorelin, samorelin. Without the DAC, it's CJC and epimorelin, tesamorelin, kind of right in there, about the same level, depending on who you are. Samorelin still at the bottom. But these will help your body naturally produce growth hormone by giving your body the signals it's used to seeing, used to have it. And so it goes up and tells the hypothalamus to do it. It tells the pituitary to do it. And so you have really 2 different kind of adjuncts. One is the growth hormone releasing hormone that the hypothalamus produces, tells your pituitary. That's kind of what some of these peptides are. Then you have the other side, which is from the ghrelin side that hits. Now, if you're taking peptides that use ghrelin as the activating function for growth hormone, they're going to make you hungry because ghrelin is the hormone that tells you to eat. And so a lot of times when people come in, they're like, I don't know what's going on. I'm taking my growth stuff, but man, I'm just like, I'm starving all the time. Well, it's because you're extra sensitive to the ghrelin. So you might want to start dropping the ghrelin function if you're trying to also drop the hormones that are producing the ghrelin function and increase the ones that are just doing straight drive to the pituitary. That can sometimes help change the hunger issues. You can also play that whole raise your Reta up a little bit to kind of block some of the food cravings. That sometimes works, but I don't really like the idea of using one peptide to override another one. So drop the dose or change peptides if you're having a ghrelin-based thing that's causing extra hunger. There's a lot of SARMs that do this as well. So be real careful with that one. If you start taking something and you realize, oh my God, I'm hungry all the time, it's not necessarily increasing your metabolism. It's just increasing your drive to eat. The other thing is that if you're trying to cut back on how much you're overeating, the number one thing to do is just cut out all your processed foods. Processed foods are designed on purpose to activate addiction centers in the hypothalamus that then tell your body, hey, we need more of that. Hey, we need more of that. Which is why it's really funny, because like if you'll go eat a piece of candy or a potato chip or something like that, and then go sit down, your body's like, hey, why don't you go grab some more of those? Those were good. We really like those. If you eat a clean organic strawberry or blueberry or, a little piece of honey or, something of that is natural, that's not processed, hey, I want to go back and eat a whole bunch more of that really calms down. So, those are some of the things you kind of got to look at. Again, peptides are fantastic, but if you really want to get the benefit out of your peptides and benefit out of your health, you've really got to start focusing on what am I putting in my body all the way around. So what you're eating is hypercritical to this. How much you're sleeping and how much you're working out is hypercritical to this. Most of the time, the reason that you're not getting the gains you're wanting isn't because you're not using the right peptide. It's because your diet, your exercise, and your sleep are screwed up. Now, you can use peptides to reset all of those things. And if that's your goal, fantastic. I get it. That's fantastic. Like epitalon is great for sleep. Some of the CJC 1295, ipamorelin stuff, that's pretty solid for sleep for a lot of people. Resetting your metabolic function with SS31, great. I get it. That's fantastic if that's the goal. And if that's the goal, great, knock it out. But if you haven't put in your head, I got to change the way I eat. I got to change the amount of trash I put in my body. I got to actually work out. I got to maintain my sleep. I've got to drink enough water. I've got to get my minerals in. The foundational key stuff is really, really, really important, especially if you're going to overdrive or supercharge your body with these peptides and hormones and things like that. Because the more you tell your body, go do the thing, if you don't give it the fuel and you don't give it the coolant and all this, you're going to overdrive the system and you're going to create more problems than you solve. So those are some of the things, and this is especially true with any GLP-1 or GLP-3. You've got to realize that your body is now producing and utilizing things like bile at a much higher rate. If you don't have the methylated B vitamins to create bile, if you're not increasing bile flow, if you're not lubricating the components, if you will, if you're not feeding the body, getting the minerals and stuff it needs, you're going to have issues. That's why we saw so many people who have cholecystitis, liver issues, gallbladder issues, congestion stuff, problems with liver, jaundice stuff from GLP-1s. It wasn't the GLP-1, it was the lack of support to giving your body the chemicals it requires to do the process you're asking it to do at the same time. So yeah, these things are all super important, but you have to put them together in the right manner. And the fun thing about this is if you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to work out for 2 hours a day every day. I have 30 minutes. Great. You can build a workout in 20 to 40 minutes that really covers everything you need. You can put together a diet that still gives you a lot of the things that you want, most of the things you want. There's a whole bunch of ways to get cookies and cakes and pies and pizza and all sorts of stuff in a diet that is beneficial to your body, doesn't have a lot of processed stuff in it, and will work with all this peptide stuff. So putting those things together first is really, really, really important because, again, you want to create a lifestyle of health. You want to create something that is sustainable long-term. Just relying on peptides is not the best way to plan to do, especially because if you just start relying on peptides and you don't eat right, you're going to have nutritional deficiencies that are going to create problems down the road. So those are the questions I'm getting. I get them all over and over and over again. So make sure that you guys are checking your diet and stuff before you start jumping into all sorts of peptide work. But it is really the nice little icing on the cake that really turns things from, you take your hard work and really, really, really makes it pay off. So, that's kind of where that is. Unfortunately, you still have to work out. You still have to diet. You still have to sleep. You still have to do the normal things. But it makes this a whole lot easier. What I really love is that it takes all that energy, all that work that people are doing, and it goes here. Now it produces results. Now that hard diet you're doing that you weren't losing any weight, now you lose a bunch of weight. Hey, that hard workouts you were doing that you just made you sore and you weren't really gaining anything, you're just fatigued and tired afterwards. Now it gives you energy. Now you're not sore anymore. Now your muscles are growing. Now you're looking better. Now you're feeling better. All those things are possible when you put it all together right. And, if you need somebody to put it together for you, find somebody to put it together for you. But, once you kind of get like the whole, like, oh, this is how I structure it all, and you can maintain it, it's not as hard as people think it is. But if you guys have any questions, hit us up, questions@chalmerswellness.com. Drop them in the comments. You guys have a fabulous day. Thanks for your time.